Hey friends, it's just the G.E.M.S. I'm Brandon. So it's been a long time since I've done one of these just sitting down and gabbing at you sorts of episodes. So I figured it's time to bring back the G.E.M.S. It's time for another G.E.M.S. And what are we talking about? I have been remiss in addressing a subject that, as you may know, is very dear to my heart. In my defense, I've been extraordinarily busy. I was flying across the country and doing PAX West and reviewing a bunch of games and previewing a bunch of upcoming titles, and there was a lot going on, so I was a little frazzled, but things have slowed down, thankfully. Things are getting back to normal, and I've finally had time to process what we all learned a couple of weeks ago. And that is, in case you haven't looked at the title, maybe this just auto-played or something, I'm talking about the remake of Trails in the Sky the First, coming to the Nintendo Switch sometime next year. Now, that is astonishing. Let me tell you a little bit about my experience of learning this news. So I was sitting here at my desk and I was working from home, and I had the Nintendo Direct up on my other monitor here, just kind of half paying attention as I'm doing other things. And, you know, they're revealing some new titles and like, okay, well, that looks interesting. That looks pretty cool. And then they got to the sizzle reel where they just show a bunch of games kind of one after the other with music playing. And I never pay attention to the sizzle reel. Like, there's never been anything in a sizzle reel for a Nintendo Direct that I've been blown away by. Like, that's not where you put things that are gonna blow people away. It's the sizzle reel. It's where you put the rest of the stuff, you know? So I had no reason to think that there would be anything of value in that sizzle reel for me. I was wrong. Okay, so I happened to glance over and see freaking Joshua standing on the deck from the beginning of Trails in the Sky. And I did a double take. I was like, I didn't think I could possibly be seeing what I was seeing, because how? What? Like, that, for one thing, I figured that, you know, eventually Trails in the Sky would get remade or at least re-released, remastered, something. But to see something of this level of quality just like dropped out of nowhere into a sizzle reel, I did a double take or a triple take, and then I rewound the video and I watched the whole segment. Of course, the whole segment was 7 seconds or whatever, and then I'm frantically Googling and on Twitter and like trying to figure out what just happened. Did everybody see this, or was this some sort of hallucination that I had, that I was blessed to receive? And then of course I proceeded to watch the gameplay over and over and over. Those 7 seconds I played on repeat, trying to grab every little bit of detail that I could from them. I couldn't grab much. I will say that I was initially pretty confused about the combat. I was like, I didn't see any turn-based combat in there. I was like, is this an action RPG? I noticed there was like an attack button indicated on the screen and then like a defend button. So I was like, you can attack and block. Are they going full action RPG on this thing? Like, I don't know that I hate that. That's an interesting idea. Not what I would have probably chosen, but like, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be completely opposed to it. Then I looked in my Patreon Discord and someone had posted, or it was either there, or it was in, I don't remember where it was. Somebody somewhere posted a link to the Japanese Direct with the full trailer, because naturally they got an actual trailer showing off tons of gameplay, well, not tons, but, you know, more than 7 seconds. And it was clear that, okay, so this is like, at the time it sort of looked like it may be more like Daybreaks, where you can attack on the field and then switch into turn-based. Falcom came out and clarified that in Sky the First, what we're looking at is attack on the field will lead directly into a turn-based battle. So it's more traditional, like in Cold Steel. Well, I guess in Cold Steel you would attack to stun and then you'd have to run into the enemy. It sounds like attacking on the field will maybe give you an advantage or something going into the turn-based. So anyway, it's turn-based. That's fine. Cool. Great. So if you've seen from the title of this video, I'm not posting this just to gush about how excited I am about Trails in the Sky the First, although I am very excited for Trails in the Sky the First. But that's not the overriding emotion that I'm feeling. I wish it was. I wish I was just excited about it, because I feel like everybody is pretty much just excited about it. But I have this trepidation in my heart that I cannot shake. And I just want to talk about it with you all. Maybe talking through it will help me process it. Maybe I'll come out on the other side just a happier and healthier person. We can hope. I can hope. So why am I worried? Why? What is it about this announcement, this trailer, the subsequent clarifications from Falcom? What is it about all this that worries me? Well, there's a few things. And I'm going to just go through them one by one. And feel free to disagree with me. Let me know in the comments if you think my worries are stupid and I'm a dumb idiot, and that's fine. I appreciate you engaging with the algorithm regardless. But the reasons that I'm worried, the reasons I'm concerned about Trails in the Sky the First. First of all, Falcom has said that this is a Switch console exclusive, at least for now. Okay, I don't want to be the guy that poo-poos the Switch, because the Switch is one of the most widely beloved gaming consoles ever made. I also love my Switch. I have a lot of fun with my Switch. I've got dozens of games for my Switch, and it's an amazing system. So please do not misunderstand. I'm not suggesting that it is not great. It's great. The issue I have is that this game looks to be really, I don't know, pushing a graphical style that is very impressive. And I worry that cramming this thing onto a Switch cart and having this 9-year-old cell phone processor in the Switch try to run this game is going to be sluggish. Like, we've reached the point now where developers are still putting games on the Switch because it prints money, but those games are not coming out the best. Like, the PlayStation 5 version is almost always going to be the better version of the game. It's going to be smoother, it's going to have higher fidelity. And I mean, that's not the most important thing in the world to me and to a lot of you, I'm sure. Like, the gameplay, the story, the characters, the music, the whatever, all the other aesthetic things are going to be more important than just the frames per second. I'm not an FPS guy, you know, I don't care about frames per second. But I don't know, like, I have dealt with enough Switch slowdown and stutter in games to know that I don't want to experience the remake of Trails in the Sky that way. I want it on the best thing that it can be on. Now, do I think they're going to bring this to PlayStation 5? Yeah, I think so. They're going to have it on PlayStation 5 day one, I'm sure. Like, there's no way that this is a console. If this was an actual exclusive, I feel like Nintendo would have done more, even the American Direct, to highlight it. The fact that they didn't suggests to me that this is just where they're choosing to announce it. Nintendo was the group having this sort of presentation the soonest that fit with their schedule. You know, why it was 7 seconds and stuffed into a sizzle reel on the American side, I don't know. Like, I feel like enough people have vocally supported this game that I hope Nintendo has realized that, like, there's a fan base over here that is, if not insulted by it being stuffed in a sizzle reel, confused at least, right? Like, this is a game that definitely deserves the full attention of Nintendo. And if by some chance they did happen to secure a full-on console exclusivity, even for a period of time, like, they should be trumpeting that. They should be shouting that from the rooftops, because that's a big deal, at least to people like me. Like, that is a meaningful thing if Nintendo's working that closely with Falcom. So the Switch is a concern for me. I would much rather have this game on the PlayStation 5. I have all of my other Trails games on the PlayStation. It's a PlayStation series in my mind. I do have the Zero and Azure on the Switch. I have PlayStation 4 copies as well, but I have it on the Switch because of the quality of life improvements that they put in that version of the game. But, you know, I display the PlayStation 4 versions because, you know, those steelbooks. I love the steelbooks. I don't know why I was Italian. There's nothing inherently Italian about a steelbook. I don't know. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Anyway, why else? Why else am I worried? Because that's not it. I wish that was it. I wish that was the only reason I was worried, but it's just not. I'm worried for other reasons. The other main reason that I'm worried is Falcom has apparently not chosen a publisher yet. They've been clear in their statement that they have not yet selected a third-party publisher to bring the game to the West. Now, they intend to bring the game to the West. That's great. Happy about that. But they haven't chosen a publisher yet. So, okay, this is concerning to me for a few different reasons. For one, I would really like for NIS America to bring this game to the West. They have, at this point, the most experience with the series. You know, I know that Xseed started it. They brought us the Trails, or the Sky trilogy, and, well, that was it. They brought us the Sky trilogy. And so they got the ball rolling, right? But NIS America, well, they brought us the first two Cold Steel. I'm sorry. They did bring us also the first two Cold Steel games. So they brought us half the titles. Yeah, roughly. I don't know. A little less than half the titles. So they started us off and they did a great job. I have a lot of respect for the folks that worked on the localization on Xseed's behalf. I don't think that those folks, or at least many of those folks, are still at Xseed. They've either moved on, are independent, or contract. So I don't know whether they would be available to come back to Xseed if Xseed was the one who secured the privilege of being able to localize the games. If they were, then I feel a little better about it. I still would prefer NIS America to do it, just because they are already like sprinting down the field towards the goal, and they're doing a great job at turning these around. And I have been just very, very pleased with their output so far. Like the games themselves, the localizations are fantastic. The collector's editions that they put out have been great, and they don't break the bank. Like, I just love so much about what NIS America has done for the series. The idea of handing it back to Xseed for just these few games, if they do in fact make the rest of them, is like, well, I know that they obviously had the experience of making or of translating the original versions of those games, but I would worry about continuity of style, if not, not actual continuity, but like continuity of the style of the localizers, like the team that worked on the Trails games at NIS America. If they're not working on this part of the series, I'm worried it's going to feel different in a way that is going to be bothersome to someone like me, who's like very honed in on the details of it. Okay, so maybe that's like a nitpicky thing. So I'm concerned about Xseed versus NIS America. Someone pointed out that in the English screenshots that Nintendo of Europe released, they were clearly showing the Xseed translation, and Xseed owns that translation. They own that localization. So that's their property. So if that's what they're going to be using, then it is probably going to be Xseed that does the localization, I would imagine, unless they can license it. Maybe they can license it from Xseed and use it without handing the title over to them. I don't know. And again, I have no issue with the localization of the original Trails in the Sky. I think it's fantastic. Like, it's one of the main reasons that I fell in love with the series, was because they did such a freaking good job. Like Jessica Chavez and others, who I'm blanking on right now, worked on bringing that game over here and breathing life into it for English speakers. And it's just, they did astonishing work. Did Brittany work on the first, or did she start later? She may have started later. Anyway, point is, like, they did a great job. So I have no problem with Xseed, in theory, using Xseed's translation, localization of the game. Fine, The other side to this, though, because they didn't just end their thought with, we haven't chosen a localizer yet, we haven't chosen a publisher. They said, we may self-publish this title in the West. I don't know about that. This is completely, like, they have never done, I don't think they've ever self-published a game in the West. Like, they've always worked with a partner, whether it's Xseed or NIS America, maybe others, Axis, and I think they worked with Axis. Yeah, on Tokyo Xanadu, right? So they've worked with third-party publishers, but they've never produced a Western edition of a game by themselves before. And yeah, I'm worried that they just aren't going to do a good job of it, right? Like, I would love for this game to get the full treatment that every other Trails game has gotten so far. The full-on collector's editions and beautiful, knickknacks and stuff that they include. Like, it's meaningful to me. It's not going to be for everybody. Like, not everybody's going to care about that. Some people are going to buy it digitally. Some people are just going to buy the game by itself. That's fine. Totally fine. You do you. But like, I love all that stuff. And it's because the series is so important to me, I like to celebrate it with all of those things. So I'm worried that, like, they're not going to treat it with the same level of care. Now, having said that, I got to see President Kondo from Falcom at Anime Expo a couple of months ago when I was there, and I got the sense that he was kind of blown away by the Western support. Like, every panel he was in was just completely filled to capacity, and everyone was excited and engaged. So I feel like he probably has, if he didn't already, he now has a better understanding of, like, the fervency of the Western fan base, which is good. I think that's important that he sees that. And so I'm really glad that they were able to get him to come to Anime Expo, and that people showed up. Like, thank you, all of you out there who were there, some of you that I met, for showing up and, like, making it known to the head of the company that, like, we're in this with you. Like, we love this series. We are so excited about these games. So to me, like, hopefully that means that, they're going to take it seriously. And if they did decide to self-publish, that they would do it right. They would look at what's been done and either try to emulate that or take it a step further, whatever. Like, if they want to go further, fine, by all means, like, go nuts. I'm the guy that bought the friggin', pocket watch orbment thing for way too much money because I just love this freaking series so much. Like, if they want to go nuts and put out a bunch of merchandise and stuff, like, yeah, do it. The other thing that worries me, especially if they self-publish, but just in general, is voice acting. So a big part of the localization to me is the voice acting. And I've said it before on this channel that, to me, a game isn't fully localized unless the voice work is done in English as well, because I'm not having the same experience that the Japanese player had if I'm hearing a voice talking in a different language than the one I typically speak while I'm reading English text or whatever, right? Like, that's a different experience than the Japanese player had. I want to have the same experience, or as close to the same experience as humanly possible. And I know, fully understand and respect the fact that, like, a lot of times when games aren't fully localized in that sense, where they don't have an English dub, it's due to budget. Like, the publishing company just can't afford it. They don't think that the game is going to make enough money to justify the pretty high cost of doing a dub, like paying all the voice actors and the director and, modifying the game files to get this new dialogue in there. It's a big undertaking, and I understand that it's asking a lot, but I have to ask it because, like, it's that important to me. So that's why I talk about it so much. But anyway, I'm a little bit worried, particularly if Falcom is self-publishing, that they won't really consider the voice acting to be an important thing to carry over. Now, I'm sure they'll, have a great Japanese cast. Hopefully they'll use the same actors they've been using in the other games for these characters, and have a great production on the Japanese side. I wish that sincerely for the Japanese players. But if they bring it over here and they're like, well, we don't speak English, so, like, we don't, it's, who cares? That's going to be a bummer for me. Now, I don't necessarily think that they think that way. Like, I'm sure, like, they understand the importance of giving, English speaking Western gamers the same, that sort of good experience of having these characters especially voiced by the actors whenever possible that we've come to love, right? Like, is it Stephanie Shea as Estelle, and Johnny Young Bosch? Is Joshua? Anyway, like, these actors who have been playing these characters for several games, like, it would be wonderful to have them back and get to hear that the Trails in the Sky games, like, voiced by them. Like, that would be astonishing. I would love that. I would be so excited to see that. Hopefully Falcom understands that and they take that seriously and will actually do that. I don't know. And that's the other thing, is, like, if they do use a third-party publisher, but the budget just isn't there because I don't know, like, it looks like a beautiful game. Like, I feel like there should be possible to generate hype for it enough to justify a higher expense in bringing in the voice actors and doing it all up. But I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on. So I guess that's it. I mean, to some of you, that might be nothing. And you might be like, why are you worried about this? Like, it's going to be a great game. You're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy it. Yeah, I know. I will. I played Tokyo Xanadu, and that didn't have an English dub, and it was localized by somebody that wasn't Exceed or NIS America. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah, that's true. But I am confident that I would have enjoyed Tokyo Xanadu more if it had an English dub, say. Like, I know I would have enjoyed it even more. I would have felt more connected to the characters. I would have felt more drawn into the story, felt more, connected to the world. That's what a good dub with good performances from these talented actors, that's what that helps me do. That's what that does for me. So yeah, it's important to me, and I'm really hoping, crossing my fingers, that they understand that, and that there is money for that to happen, and that the game does well. I really hope the game does well. So if you are a Trails fan, especially if you're one that insists that people start with Trails in the Sky, like, please, like, let's get this game in front of as many people as we can. Let's talk about it nonstop leading up to it, and let's buy extra copies and give them to our friends that we think might be inclined to like the series. Let's do everything in our power to make this thing successful, because we benefit if we do that. Like I don't care about making a bunch of people rich, and the publishing side, I don't think they probably get rich from it, but you know what I mean? Like I'm not concerned about, I'm not shilling for business or whatever. Like we benefit if this game does well. So if we can get out there, get the word out, and get people excited about Trails in the Sky the first, then we're more likely to get the second and the third, and then have the whole series. And maybe even they'll redo Zero and Azure in this style. Like that would be cool too. I'd like to see them all done up in this kind of like Daybreak engine style, or whatever you want to call it. Like I would love to see that. That would get every game kind of on an even playing field. There's no graphical style differences between any of the chapters. It makes it easier for folks to play those earlier segments because, you know, to be frank, it's a big undertaking to ask people to, you know, play a 20-year-old game. Like even if they have access to it, it's still a 20-year-old game. This new version is going to make that so much easier to recommend. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm not just worried. I'm also excited, and I'm also optimistic about Trails in the Sky the first, because just freaking look at it. Like it's gorgeous. To finally get to see Liberl in full 3D glory. Like it's the only place that we haven't. Like we got to see Crossbell in the Cold Steel and Reverie. We got to see, you know, Crossbell basically in its entirety, fully 3D like that. So like to be able to see Liberl in that same way, that's amazing. That's what I've wanted for a long time, is to see that kingdom in its full scale amazingness. So I'm really excited about that for sure. And naturally, like Estelle, we get to have Estelle as the main character of the game again. Like in this big, you know, Daybreak style game, right? Where it's like, it's just so much higher fidelity, much higher quality presentation. And we get to have Estelle be the main character. Like, that's great. That's amazing. Estelle is the best. Love Estelle. I know that's like almost a cliche on the internet at this point to say that you love Bestelle. Bestelle? She's the best. So I get it, but like she just is. She's great. She's a ton of fun. She's just such a breath of fresh air in a world full of like super serious main characters. She's just great. And it, you know, she's great because she's not just goofy and lighthearted, but like she does have a wide-ranging personality, and she can be very serious and very sad and very angry, and just she's such a cool kid. Love Estelle. Anyway, I guess that's all I have to say right now. I just wanted to take some time. I know this is late. Is anybody still talking about this? Probably not. This video is going to get 10 views. That's okay. But I just wanted to get my, you know, my worries out there, just kind of it all out onto the table, just to clear my soul, just purging my soul out here a little bit, just to, I don't know, be able to breathe. And if you have any thoughts that you would want to leave me in the comments that might make me feel better, I would really appreciate it. If you are not concerned and you want to tell me why you're not concerned, please let me know. I would love to hear it. I would ask that you would consider liking the video if you do like what I do on this channel. And if you aren't already subscribed, if you watched more than one of my videos and you haven't clicked subscribe, please consider subscribing. It really just makes a big difference, especially now. Like September is like a doldrums for whatever reason in YouTube, and it's like, you know, I don't know, everything seems to slow down, subscriptions and likes and comments, and it's just kind of a bummer of a time. You feel like you're not reaching as many people as you were, and it's just fun to engage, and I don't know. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you are in the market for podcasts about JRPGs, my friends and I recently started one. It's called the JRPG Pursuit, and we are on every week. Every Wednesday morning, we put out a new episode talking about just a wide range of topics related to JRPGs. It's myself and my friend Abdallah and my friend Emily. Emily is Orbology on YouTube. You may be familiar with her channel. But the link to the JRPG Pursuit YouTube channel is below, so please go and subscribe and watch and listen and enjoy. It's also available on wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. So you can find it there as well. Have I covered everything for this outro? Boy, I think I have. What an outro. You did a great job. Okay, anyway, until next time.